Do you consider yourself a creative person or not? The study here shows that the assertiveness and correlation between self-reported creativity and real creativity pathway signals in the brain are around of 54%, suggesting that most people that are very creative apparently are very self-aware of their own abilities. Creativity is normally associated with artistic performance, divergent thinking, different ways of solving problems, figurative or symbolic use of language, musical performance, improvisation, poetry composition, and many other different things. But of course, there might be different ways of being creative besides these. For example, I would say that many different professions tend to have their own ways of creativity as well. I think that Dr. House in his TV show really shows that really well. The way he is always solving the cases of his patients and thinking about solutions really shows the creativity he has. So there are many benefits in being creative when life presents you with certain problems. For example, creativity can help you not only think about solutions that most people didn't think of before, but also give you the solutions to maybe achieve and cross pathways that you yourself haven't thought of before. And with this, the scientists of this experiment I've mentioned propose to better identify and distinguish the brains of people with high creativity from those who lack or have low creativity. And for this, they put the participants of the experiment in activities that normally would require creative thinking, while they were also measuring their neuronal activities. And this is what they found. Two completely different pathways for solving the tasks between the people who had creative thinking and those who didn't. The creative group had a more horizontal activation of their brains, while the non-creative or low in creativity group had a more vertical activation of theirs. This suggests that this creative way of thinking seems to be more related to the connectivity between the more frontal parts of the brain, that is, the rational parts of the brain, and the limbic part of it, that is, the emotional brain. It kind of reminds me of Steve Jobs, who wanted to make the integration between technology and arts, or even science and humanities. In this case, the integration between something that requires a heavy cognitive and rational burden with another thing that normally is associated with passion and emotions, which, according to this study here, is a main expression of creativity in the brain. I would even say that this also makes sense if you think about how Quentin Tarantino also regards creativity. In his movies, he's always referencing something else, always putting Easter eggs and connecting different things that normally aren't binding together just to create something new. Or even Isaac Newton, who, although had revolutionized science, said that he was only able to do that because he was on the shoulders of giants. As if everything he did wasn't very new per se, but rather due to everything else that came before him. And if you think about it, he didn't discover or invent anything new really. Gravity and the stars were always there. He just found a different way of communicating and to analyze them. He used the things that existed in nature to create something artificial, let's say. So this aspect of connecting different things and integrating them with each other to create something new apparently is a way of being creative, and it really shows in the brain. But what about the low creative brain that uses top-down activation of it? Well, if you see in the image, while the high creative network uses the prefrontal cortex, the low creative network uses more of a sensorial and motor parts of the brain. That is, the cerebellum, subcortical areas, and the parietal lobe. More specifically, it uses areas associated with stored knowledge, let's say. While the prefrontal cortex tries to solve new problems and the limbic system acts upon what is happening in the moment, the sensorial motor areas of the brain seems to be more instinctive, relying more on things that the person have already learned before to then act those in the world. So the people with low creative network here were trying to use previous knowledge and then applying exactly this to the task they were doing. It was a very vertical expression, let's say, just like in their brains. It was something that they had in their heads, and then they directly expressed that outside, without many mixture or connections in between. It was a tried and true execution. They were relying more on the past instead of creating something different in the present or for the future. And that's it. I've spent 3 days just to make this video. But that aside, if you are interested in expanding your repertoire to solve problems in life in general, you can perhaps try something new, such as therapy or psychoanalytic consultation, of which you can book a session with me through the link in the description. So like, subscribe, make a comment, share with your friends, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.